Hey, second graders. We're going to continue with chapter 7, part 2 of Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle's Magic, and we're going to continue with Jody, who is the never want to go to schooler. After he had dressed, Jody helped himself to as many of Jan's tools as he could carry and went out to work on the treehouse. My, it was beautiful up there in that old maple tree. The sun made little speckles on the floor of the treehouse, and two fat gray squirrels ran up and down the branches and chattered at him when he hammered. This is the life, said Jody happily to himself. I'm never going to school. I'm going to be a carpenter, and that's certainly something that old Mrs. Robinson doesn't know about. Chitta, chitta, chicka, chicka, chick, said one of the gray squirrels, just before the other children were due home for lunch. Jody climbed down out of the tree, went into the house, and told his mother that he had a little headache and felt weak. She told him to lie down on the couch with an Afghan over him. Even Julie and Jan, who came rushing in to sneer at him, thought he looked quite frail and left the room on tiptoe. Linda kissed him stickily and told him that he could take a nap with her after lunch, which made him feel slightly ashamed. Jody had only intended to stay on the Davenport's a name for the couch, the Davenport until after Julie and Jan had left for school, but it was so quiet in the living room and so comfortable on the Davenport that he fell asleep and didn't wake up until 2 o'clock. Twice, while he was sleeping, Mrs. Jones tiptoed in and felt his head. As it was cool and moist, she decided that Jody had just a little stomach upset and it wasn't necessary to call the doctor. As soon as he waked up, Jody got up and worked on the treehouse until 10 minutes past 3. Then he skinned down out of the tree, rushed in and put away Jan's tools, and was again lying wistfully on the couch when Julie and Jan came home. Jan said that he was going to work on the treehouse, and did Jody want to help? Jody said, I'll just climb up and watch for a while. Thanks anyway, Jan. Jan watched suspiciously as Jody shined up the tree faster than a squirrel, but he didn't say anything until he had climbed up into the treehouse himself and had seen how much work Jody had done. I just wish Mother could climb up in here and see how sick you are, he said, carefully examining his tools for scratches and nicks. Jody said, I did feel sick this morning, but I got better after lunch. Hey, do you think this roof's going to be high enough? Jan said. Let's make it high enough so we can have a window. Wouldn't it be fun to look out of our window at the old girls playing in the street below? Jody's sickness was forgotten. Having had no lunch, Jody was starving for dinner and had 2 helpings of everything. When Mr. Jones passed his second plate full, he said, Your hydrophobia kleptomania seems to have cleared up. You'll certainly be well enough to go to school tomorrow, eh, Jody? Jody, making his eyes as big as he could over a mouthful of baked potatoes, said, I certainly hope so, Daddy. I hate to miss so much school. Jan choked on his milk, and Julie said that she thought all the boys were disgusting and should eat out of troughs. Mrs. Jones said, From now on, a conversation at this table is limited to current events. And so the children had nothing to say until dinner was over. After dinner, Linda went to bed, and the other children were sent to their rooms to study. Jan went right to work on the theme he was writing entitled My Most Interesting Experience. But Jody got out an old magic dot book and began filling in the pictures. How do you spell dangerous? Asked Jan. I don't know, said Jody. There was a silence for a while. How do you spell Africa? Asked Jan. I don't know, said Jody. Silence. How do you spell leopard? Asked Jan. I don't know, said Jody. Gosh, don't you know anything? Said Jan. Sure, said Jody. Lots of things, but not spelling. I don't notice you're good at that. I don't notice You're so good at that either. How do you spell dangerous? How do you spell Africa? How do you spell leopard? He mimicked Jan. Jan said, It just It's just that I happen to be writing a theme, and I don't have time to stop and think about how to spell every word. What are you writing a theme about? Asked Jan. My most interesting experience, said Jan. Your most interesting experience, jeered Jody. Ha ha ha, what do you know about Africa and leopards? Jan looked embarrassed. He said, well, I'm pretending that one of Dick Thompson's Uncle Charlie's experiences was mine. Mrs. Hatfield never said, never, Mrs. Hatfield's never been to Africa. She won't know the difference. Anyway, it'll be a lot more interesting than the time my dolly broke her front tooth or the time I found my first crocus, like the old girls write. Jody was busy filling in the dots. He said, hey, look at this. It's an elephant. I thought all the time it was going to be a football field. They both laughed loudly, just as Mr. Jones called that it was bedtime. All right, so do you think Jody's going to go to school the next day? Make a prediction, and I'll see you next time.